Part 5. A new Don Jiwoo woke to the sound of machines beeping. His body felt heavy, like gravity had doubled while he slept. When he tried to sit up, gentle hands pushed him back down. Rest, Narva. You have been unconscious for 2 weeks. The voice was familiar. Jiwoo forced his eyes open and saw Hana sitting beside his bed. She looked different, healthier. Her skin had regained its natural color, and her silver eyes were clear and bright. 2 weeks? His voice came out rough. You were very close to death. The cold damaged your body. The doctors had to repair many things. She smiled slightly. But you are stubborn. Like all humans, I think. Jiwoo looked around. He was in a medical facility, advanced and clean. Through the window, he could see a space station bustling with activity. Ships of all types came and went, some human, some Veltir, some species he didn't recognize. Where are we? Raven Station. We made it. All of us. Hana's smile faded. But there have been complications. Before she could explain, the door opened. Kira entered, followed by Borum and 2 humans in official-looking uniforms. One of them stepped forward. Jiwoo of Station 7, I am Commander Yuna of the Human Space Authority. You are under arrest for violation of First Contact protocols, unauthorized interference with alien vessels, and theft of classified materials. Jiwoo blinked. What? You breached an alien diplomatic ship without authorization. You took possession of sensitive data. These are serious crimes. Commander Yuna's face was stern. You will be transported to Earth to stand trial. He saved my granddaughter's life, Kira said, her voice cold. Without his actions, the conspiracy that destroyed the Valara's grace would have succeeded. Is this how humans reward heroes? The law is the law, Elder Kira. We cannot make exceptions even for good intentions. Borum stepped forward. That's garbage. The kid risked his life to save someone. He exposed corruption that reaches the highest levels of 3 governments. And you want to arrest him? The evidence he obtained was acquired illegally. It may not be admissible in any court. Commander Yuna's expression softened slightly. I don't like this either, but I have my orders. Jiwoo felt numb. He'd expected maybe a reprimand. Not this. Not arrest. Not trial on Earth, which he'd left years ago and never wanted to see again. Hana stood up, her young voice filled with determination. Then I will testify. I will tell everyone what happened, how he saved me, how he sacrificed himself so the truth could survive. You're a child, Commander Yuna said, not unkindly, and an alien. Your testimony carries less weight in human courts. Then it is fortunate, Kira said quietly, that this is not only a human matter. Over the next 3 days, everything changed. Borum had made copies of the data crystal and sent them to journalists, officials, and resistance groups across multiple systems. The contents exploded like a bomb. Names of corrupt officials were exposed. Financial trails showing payments to mercenaries were revealed. Communications proving the assassination plot existed were broadcast on every major news network. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Protests erupted on a dozen worlds. Officials resigned or were arrested. 3 different governments launched investigations. And the public, both human and alien, demanded justice not just for the conspiracy but for Jiwoo himself. Free the hero of the Valara's grace became a rallying cry. Hana gave interviews from Raven Station, her young face appearing on screens everywhere. She spoke calmly and clearly about her rescue, about Jiwoo's bravery, about the sacrifice he'd made to protect her and the truth. Her testimony was translated into 100 languages and reached billions. The pressure became impossible to ignore. On the 4th day, Commander Yuna returned to Jiwoo's hospital room. She looked tired. The charges have been dropped, she said. Official pardon from the Human Space Authority. You're free to go. Jiwoo sat up slowly. Just like that? Just like that. Turns out when half the human population wants you released, politicians listen. She allowed herself a small smile. For what it's worth, I'm glad. What you did was reckless and illegal, but it was also right. Sometimes those things don't line up. After she left, Kira entered. There is to be a ceremony tomorrow, a memorial for those who died on the Valara's grace. I would be honored if you attended. The ceremony was held in Ravan Station's largest hall. Thousands gathered, human and Velthir standing side by side. Holograms showed the faces of the dead, including Hana's parents. They looked kind, Jiwoo thought. People who genuinely believed in peace. Kira spoke first, her voice carrying through the hall. She talked about sacrifice and hope, about how tragedy could be transformed into purpose. Then she invited Hana to speak. The girl walked to the podium, small but unafraid. My parents died trying to build bridges between species. They believed we were stronger together than apart. For a long time, I thought that was naive. But then a human I'd never met risked his life to save me. Not because he had to, not because anyone ordered him to, but because it was right. She looked directly at Jiwoo in the audience. That is what my parents believed in. That goodness exists in all species. That we can choose to help each other, even when it costs us everything. Today I promise to continue their work, to build those bridges, to prove that their deaths were not meaningless. The hall erupted in applause that went on for minutes. After the ceremony, officials from both human and Velthir governments approached Jiwoo. They offered him positions, honors, medals. He declined most of it. But one offer made him pause. Independent liaison between species, Kira explained. You would work to facilitate understanding and cooperation. No government control, complete autonomy. We need people who can see beyond politics, people like you. Jiwoo thought about his small life as a salvager. Simple, uncomplicated, safe. Then he thought about Hana's silver eyes and the word Narava. Some gifts came with responsibilities. I'll do it, he said. The next few weeks were a blur. The conspiracy trials began, and Jiwoo testified alongside Hana and Kira. Some conspirators were convicted. Others escaped through legal technicalities or political connections. Justice was never perfect. But the peace treaty that Hana's parents had died for was revived. New negotiators, carefully vetted, took up the work. And this time, with the conspiracy exposed, they succeeded. The treaty was signed in a ceremony that broadcast across both human and Velthir space. Hana, still technically a child, was asked to sign as a witness. Her small hand next to the bold signatures of officials and leaders became an iconic image. The girl who survived. The symbol of hope. Jiwoo stood in the background during the signing, uncomfortable with the attention. Borum found him there. You did good, kid, she said. Changed the galaxy and didn't even mean to. I just wanted to save one person, and that's exactly why it mattered. You didn't think about politics or consequences. You just did what was right. She clapped him on the shoulder. The galaxy needs more people like you. Hell, I'm going to keep doing what I do. Exposing corruption, helping people. You inspired me. After the ceremony, Jiwoo visited his ship. Taimin had been repaired and upgraded as part of the settlement for his arrest. The vessel looked better than it had in years. Are you ready, Jiwoo? The AI asked. We have our first assignment as independent liaison, a minor dispute on the colony world of Talos 3. Let me guess. Humans and aliens can't agree on something? Water rights, specifically. Jiwoo laughed. After everything that had happened, water rights seemed almost mundane, almost normal. He liked that. Before we go, Taimin said, you have a visitor. Hana appeared in the airlock carrying a small bag. I brought you something. She handed him a data pad. On it was a photograph of her parents smiling. So you remember why you did this? Why it mattered? I won't forget, Jiwoo promised. I know. Because you are Narava, life giver. She hugged him quickly, a gesture she'd learned from humans. Thank you. For everything. As she left, Kira was waiting outside. The old woman nodded to Jiwoo with respect. Not the suspicion she'd shown when they first met, but genuine respect between equals. Ji-woo sealed the airlock and settled into his pilot's seat. Through the viewport he could see Raven Station, now a symbol of the peace his actions had helped create. Ships of all types docked and departed, working together. "Ready?" Taman asked. "Ready." His ship pulled away from the station, heading for open space. The stars stretched out before him, infinite and full of possibility. Somewhere out there, people needed help. Disputes needed mediating. Bridges needed building. And Ji-woo would be there. Not because he was a hero. Not because anyone ordered him to. But because it was right. Because that's what Narava did. 1 year later, on the anniversary of the Valara's Grace tragedy, a memorial was unveiled on Raven Station. 2 statues stood side by side. A Veltir woman and man, representing Hana's parents. And between them, hand extended toward the stars, a human figure. The plaque read simply, "For those who choose courage over fear, sacrifice over safety, and hope over despair, may we all strive to be worthy of their example." Ji-woo attended the unveiling but left before the speeches started. He had work to do. Talus 3 was waiting. After that, a dozen other places. The work never ended, but as his ship jumped to hyperspace, he looked at the photograph Hana had given him, her parents' smiling faces, and he smiled too. Part 4. The Price of Heroism. 3 days into the journey, Ji-woo knew they were being followed. It wasn't obvious at first. Just a sensor ghost that appeared and disappeared at the edge of their range. But it was always there, matching their course changes, keeping pace. Borum saw it too, but didn't say anything in front of Hana. The girl had been quiet since they left the debris field. She spent most of her time in the small cabin Borum had set up for her, holding the data crystal and staring at nothing. Sometimes Ji-woo heard her crying softly. He wanted to help but didn't know how. What could he say to someone who'd lost everything? On the 4th day, Hana emerged from her cabin and found Ji-woo in the cargo bay. He was working on his ship, trying to repair the damaged systems with spare parts Borum had scrounged up. "Can I help?" she asked through Taman's translation. Ji-woo looked up, surprised. "You know about ships?" "My father taught me," he said. "Understanding technology builds bridges between species." Her silver eyes were red from crying, but her voice was steady. "I want to be useful, please." How could he say no to that? Ji-woo handed her a tool and showed her what needed to be done. They worked in comfortable silence, and he was impressed by how quick she learned. Her small hands were good at reaching places his couldn't. "Your father sounds like he was a good man," Ji-woo said after a while. He was. He believed peace was possible, that all species could work together. Hana's hands paused. "I thought he was naive. I argued with him about it before we left. Our last conversation was an argument." Ji-woo knew that pain, the guilt of words you couldn't take back. He knew you loved him. Parents understand these things. How can you be sure? Because he gave you that crystal. In his last moments, he made sure you had the evidence he'd gathered. That means he trusted you to finish what he started. You don't trust someone you're angry with. Hana considered this and nodded slowly. Narava, life-giver. You give more than physical life. Before Ji-woo could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Borum's voice came over the intercom. "We've got company." 3 ships just dropped out of hyperspace right on top of us. Ji-woo ran to the cockpit with Hana close behind. The displays showed 3 contacts. The same mercenary ships that had followed Kira's cruiser. They'd circled back. "How did they find us?" Borum demanded, her hands flying over the controls. "The crystal," Taman said. "It must have a tracking device embedded in it. Clever. They let us think we'd escaped while following the signal." The mercenaries opened fire. Energy bolts streaked past Borum's ship, warning shots. Then a voice came through the comm system. "Unknown vessel, power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Resist and you will be destroyed." Borum looked at Ji-woo. "Your ship. Is it flight capable?" "Barely. Navigation is still spotty and the weapons are completely offline. But it can move." "Yeah, why?" Borum's expression was grim. "Because I'm going to need you to do something very stupid. You're going to take that crystal and lead these bastards away from us while I run Hana to the station. That's suicide. My ship is barely holding together. I know, but it's our only chance. They want that crystal. Give them a chase." She turned to Hana. "Is there a way to transfer the data?" "Make a copy?" Hana nodded quickly. She pulled out the crystal and connected it to the ship's computer. It will take 2 minutes. We don't have 2 minutes, Jiwoo said, watching the mercenaries close in. Then buy us 2 minutes, Borum shot back. Jiwoo looked at Hana. The girl met his eyes, and he saw the same determination he'd seen in her father's choice to give her the crystal. Some things were worth dying for. Taemin, prep my ship for launch, Jiwoo said, and plot a course into that asteroid field we passed an hour ago. The dense one. Jiwoo, the probability of successfully navigating that field with our damaged systems is extremely low. What are my odds of surviving a direct fight with 3 mercenary ships? 0%. Then I'll take extremely low. He turned to Borum. When I launch, you run. Don't stop. Don't look back. Get Hana to safety. You're crazy, Borum said, but she was already moving to prep her ship for separation. Hana grabbed Jiwoo's arm. You don't have to do this. Yeah, I do. Someone once told me that understanding technology builds bridges. But you know what really builds bridges? People willing to sacrifice for each other. Your dad understood that. Now I do too. The data transfer is complete, Taemin announced. Jiwoo took the original crystal from the computer and put it in his pocket. Keep the copy safe. Make sure everyone knows what's on it. He ran to his ship and sealed the airlock. The familiar hum of his own vessel surrounded him, comforting despite everything. He strapped into the pilot's seat and powered up the engines. They whined in protest but held. Taemin, as soon as we separate from Borum's ship, light up the crystal's tracking signal. Make it impossible to miss. Understood. The docking clamps released and Jiwoo's ship drifted free. He fired his thrusters and accelerated hard toward the asteroid field. Behind him, he could see Borum's ship turning in the opposite direction, running at maximum speed. The mercenaries hesitated for only a moment. Then 2 of them broke off to chase Jiwoo. 1 stayed to pursue Borum, but those were better odds than 3 against 1. Come on, Jiwoo muttered. Follow me. That's it. Energy bolts filled the space around him. His shields, already weak, flared with each near miss. The asteroid field loomed ahead, a maze of tumbling rocks ranging from small boulders to mountain-sized monsters. Jiwoo plunged into it without slowing. The mercenaries followed, but they were more cautious. Their ships were valuable, after all. That gave Jiwoo an advantage. He had nothing to lose. He spun his ship between asteroids, using every trick he'd learned in 3 years of salvage work. The rocks here were dense, unpredictable. His damaged navigation kept glitching, showing false readings. He was flying on instinct and prayer. Collision alert, Taemin said calmly. Asteroid ahead. Impact in 3 seconds, Jiwoo banked hard. The asteroid's surface passed so close he could see the ice crystals on its surface. One of the mercenary ships wasn't as lucky. It clipped the rock and went spinning into another, exploding in a bright flash. 1 down, Jiwoo said. 1 to go. But the remaining mercenary was good. Really good. It matched Jiwoo's movements, getting closer with each passing second. Its weapons locked on. Incoming fire, Taemin warned. The blast hit Jiwoo's rear shields. They collapsed instantly. The next shot would tear right through his hull. He had seconds. There. Ahead. A gap between 2 asteroids that was barely wider than his ship. No way the larger mercenary vessel could follow. Jiwoo pushed his engines to maximum and shot through the gap. Metal screamed as his ship scraped against both asteroids, but he made it through. The mercenary tried to follow and got stuck. Jiwoo watched in his rear camera as the ship struggled wedged between the rocks. Then it fired its weapons at the asteroids themselves, trying to blast free. Bad idea. The explosion created a chain reaction. Asteroids collided and shattered, creating a deadly cloud of debris. The mercenary ship disappeared in the chaos, torn apart by 1,000 impacts. Jiwoo cleared the field and checked his systems. His ship was dying. Life support was failing. Engines were offline. He was drifting in space again, just like after the first explosion. Taemin, I am here, Jiwoo, but I cannot maintain primary systems. Power is critical. Did Borum get away? Unknown. Communications are offline. Jiwoo leaned back in his seat. He'd done what he could. Bought Hana time. Maybe it was enough. The cold was creeping in now. His suit's heater couldn't keep up with the loss of life support. His breath fogged in front of his face. He thought about Earth, about his small quarters on Station 7, about Hana's silver eyes and her word. Narava. Not a bad way to go, he whispered. Lights appeared in his view screen. A ship, large military configuration. For a moment, Jiwoo thought the third mercenary had found him, but as it got closer, he recognized the markings. Velthir. His radio crackled to life. Human vessel, this is Velthir Military Patrol. We received a distress call from your location. Are you in need of assistance? Jiwoo tried to respond, but his voice wouldn't work. Too cold. Too tired. The Velthir ship deployed a tractor beam and pulled him into its medical bay. The last thing Jiwoo saw before passing out was a face looking down at him through the airlock window. Silver eyes. Hana's eyes. But older. Kira. You did well, human, the old woman's voice said from far away. Rest now, and Jiwoo did. Part 3. The Hunters. The mercenary ships moved closer, their scanners cutting through the debris field like knives. Jiwoo stood in Borum's cargo bay, watching through the reinforced windows. His hand rested on the pistol at his hip. Not that it would do any good. How long can the stealth shroud hold, he asked. Against casual scans? Hours. Against a focused military-grade sweep? Borum checked her instruments. Minutes. Maybe. In the medical bay, the girl sat up slowly. Jiwoo had learned her name was Hana. She'd whispered it between ragged breaths, along with something else in her language that Taemin translated as, thank you. Now she watched them with those unsettling silver eyes, still clutching the data crystal. One of the mercenary ships passed within 50 meters. Jiwoo could see the crew through its bridge windows, shadows moving with purpose. Hunting. Always hunting. They're not giving up, Borum muttered. They know someone pulled survivors from that wreck. They saw the breach we made. Can we run? Not yet. They've positioned themselves in a triangle formation. If we move, we'll trigger their motion sensors. We'd be dead before we got 10 kilometers. Jiwoo hated waiting. Hated feeling helpless. He'd spent 3 years in space learning to be self-reliant, to solve his own problems. But this was beyond him. Way beyond. A new contact appeared on the sensors. Larger. Moving fast. That's a Velthir cruiser, Taemin announced. Military configuration. Heavy weapons. They are broadcasting a distress response code. The 3 mercenary ships immediately broke formation and accelerated away from the debris field. They wanted no part of a real fight. But they didn't jump to hyperspace. They held position at the edge of scanner range, watching. Smart, Borum said. They'll wait to see what the cruiser finds. If it picks up survivors, they'll follow and hit them later. Harder to defend a ship in transit. The Velthir cruiser slowed near the remains of the diplomatic vessel. Jiwoo watched as it deployed smaller craft that began searching through the wreckage. They were thorough and professional. After 20 minutes, one of the search craft approached Borum's ship. They found us, Jiwoo said. Let them. We're not the enemy here. Borum opened a communication channel. Velthir vessel, this is civilian trader Dawn's promise. We have survivors from the Valara's grace. Medical attention required. The response was immediate. A woman's voice, old and commanding, speaking through a translator. This is Elder Kira of House Valara. You have my granddaughter? Granddaughter. Jiwoo looked at Hana, who had gone very still. She's here, Borum confirmed. Injured but stable. A human salvager pulled her from the ship seconds before it exploded. There was a long pause. When Kira spoke again, her voice was thick with emotion. I will come personally. Please do not move. A shuttle launched from the cruiser and crossed the distance in minutes. It docked with Borum's ship and the airlock opened. An elderly Velthir woman entered, moving with surprising speed despite her age. Her skin was the same pale blue as Hana's, but her white hair was bound in intricate braids. She wore robes that marked her as someone important. The moment she saw Hana, everything else ceased to exist. The old woman rushed forward and gathered the girl into her arms, speaking rapidly in their language. Hana began to cry, deep sobs that shook her small frame. Kira held her and cried too. Jiwoo looked away. Some moments were too private. After several minutes, Kira composed herself and turned to face them, her silver eyes fixed on Jiwoo. You are the human who saved her? Yes. My son and his wife were the lead envoys. Were they? She couldn't finish the question. Jiwoo shook his head. I only found Hana. I'm sorry. Kira closed her eyes and took a breath. When she opened them again, the grief was still there but controlled. You risked your life for a stranger, for an alien child. This is not something I expected from a human. The word stung even though Jiwoo understood. Humans and Velthir had a complicated history, lots of misunderstandings, some conflicts. Building trust took time. She needed help. Jiwoo said simply. That's all that mattered. Borum stepped forward. Elder Kira, we need to move quickly. The mercenaries who destroyed your ship are still in the area. They're waiting to see what you do next. Let them wait. My cruiser is more than capable of handling mercenary rabble. It's not that simple, Borum continued. This wasn't a random attack. I've been tracking rumors about an assassination plot for weeks. Someone with serious resources wanted the peace talks to fail. The kind of someone who can hire top-tier mercenaries and make diplomatic ships disappear. Kira's expression hardened. What evidence do you have? Hana spoke then, her voice weak but clear. She held up the data crystal. Timon translated her words. Mother gave this to me. She said it contained proof of betrayal at the highest levels. May I? Kira took the crystal and inserted it into a portable reader she produced from her robes. Her face grew darker as she scrolled through the data. This is worse than I imagined. Names, transactions, communications. My son and his wife had gathered evidence of a conspiracy involving officials from multiple governments, human, Velthir, and others. That's why they were killed, Borum said. And that's why the mercenaries are still here. They need to make sure all evidence is destroyed. Jiwoo felt sick. Politics, corruption. He'd left Earth to get away from all that. And now he was standing in the middle of the biggest conspiracy in the sector. What do we do? He asked. Kira looked at him with new respect. We get this information to people who can be trusted, and we protect my granddaughter. She is the only living witness to the attack. The mercenaries won't let you leave, Borum warned. The moment your cruiser jumps to hyperspace, they'll follow, and they might have friends waiting wherever you're going. Then what do you suggest? Borum smiled. We split up. Your cruiser makes a lot of noise and jumps to the Velthir medical outpost on Raven Station. You'll have military escorts, make it obvious, let the mercenaries follow you. And the child? Hana comes with me and Jiwoo. We take the back routes, the smuggler paths. My ship isn't fast, but it's invisible to most scanners. We can get her to Ravan Station safely, just slower. Kira looked uncertain. You want me to trust my granddaughter's life to humans I just met? One of those humans already saved her life, Borum pointed out. Besides, you don't have many options. If we all go together, those mercenaries will hit us with everything they have. We need to divide their attention. Hana tugged on her grandmother's sleeve and spoke softly. Kira listened and then sighed deeply. She says she trusts the human who saved her, that his spirit is kind. Kira looked at Jiwoo. I do not know you, but my granddaughter does, in the way children understand these things. Very well. We will do this. They made preparations quickly. Kira transferred medical equipment and supplies to Borum's ship. She embraced Hana one more time, whispering something in the girl's ear that made her nod seriously. Keep her safe, Kira said to Jiwoo, or I will hunt you across every star in the galaxy. Understood. The Velthir cruiser departed first, its engines flaring bright. Sure enough, the 3 mercenary ships broke from their holding position and followed. The trap was set. Borum waited 30 minutes before powering up her ship. They slipped out of the debris field using minimal thrust, staying in the sensor shadow of the larger asteroids. We're clear, Taemin reported. No pursuit detected. Jiwoo exhaled. First hurdle cleared. But Raven Station was 5 days away and a lot could go wrong in 5 days. Hana sat in the corner of the cargo bay looking small and lost. Jiwoo walked over and sat beside her. You okay? He asked. She looked at him and spoke. Taemin translated. I want to thank you properly. In my language we have a word, Narava. It means someone who gives life when death has already claimed it. You are Narava. Jiwoo didn't know what to say to that. He settled for a smile. Just glad I got there in time. But even as he said it, he wondered about the 3 days ahead, and whether time was still on their side. Part 2. Against all odds. The medical bay was small, barely larger than a closet, but it was all Jiwoo had. He laid the alien girl on the examination table and watched as the automated systems tried to scan her. The screens flickered with errors. His equipment didn't recognize her biology. "Taemin, I need help here," Jiwoo said, his voice tight. The AI responded slowly, struggling. "Medical database does not contain Velthir physiological data. I am attempting to extrapolate based on similar carbon-based life forms. Her respiratory system is failing. She requires immediate treatment, but I cannot determine safe medication dosages." Jiwoo looked at the girl's face. Her lips had turned darker, almost purple. Not a good sign in any species. He made a decision and activated the oxygen chamber, flooding it with pure air. It might not be exactly what she needed, but it was better than nothing. Her chest rose and fell a little easier. "Small victory. Good," he muttered. "Stay with me, kid." He turned his attention to his ship. The damage report scrolled across every screen. Navigation was completely dead. Communications were gone, the engines barely responded. They were drifting, and those unknown ships were getting closer. "Taemin, how long until those contacts reach us?" "Approximately 18 minutes at current speed. I should note that my sensors are severely compromised. I cannot determine if they are hostile or friendly." 18 minutes. Jiwoo ran his hand through his hair and tried to think. His ship couldn't run, couldn't fight, and couldn't even call for help. They were sitting ducks. He glanced back at the girl. The crystal she'd been holding had fallen to the floor. He picked it up. It was warm in his hand and pulsed with a soft blue light. Some kind of data storage, maybe? He pocketed it. If this girl had held on to it through everything, it must be important. A sound made him turn. The girl's eyes were opening. They were silver, like polished metal, and they stared at him with confusion and fear. "Hey, it's okay," Jiwoo said softly, raising his hands. "You're safe. I pulled you from your ship." She tried to speak, but only a weak sound came out. Her hand reached up, searching for something. The crystal. Jiwoo pulled it from his pocket and placed it in her palm. Her fingers closed around it immediately. "What happened to your ship?" Jiwoo asked. She shook her head, tears forming in her strange eyes. She spoke in her own language, words that flowed like water. Taemin translated through the speakers. She says, "The ship was attacked. Her parents. She cannot find her parents." Jiwoo felt his chest tighten. Parents. She was just a kid looking for her parents, and they were probably dead, turned to ash in that explosion. "I'm sorry," he said. It felt inadequate. "We'll figure this out. But right now, I need you to rest. You're hurt." She nodded slightly and closed her eyes again. Her breathing was steadier now. Good. One problem slightly less urgent. The ship suddenly shook. Not from an explosion this time, but from something else. Jiwoo rushed to the cockpit and checked his screens. One of the approaching ships had fired a tractor beam at them. They were being pulled toward something. "Taemin, are they attacking?" "Negative, the beam is too gentle. They are attempting to tow us, friend or foe." Jiwoo had no way to know. He watched helplessly as his ship was dragged through space. They passed through a field of debris, old satellite parts and broken asteroids before coming to rest inside a larger vessel's cargo bay. The tractor beam released them. Jiwoo grabbed the emergency pistol from under his console. It was old and probably wouldn't do much against serious threats, but it made him feel slightly better. The airlock chimed. Someone was requesting permission to board. Jiwoo checked the video feed. A woman stood outside, human, wearing a worn flight suit. She was alone and held up her empty hands to show she had no weapons. Behind her, he could see the cargo bay of what looked like a civilian trading ship. He opened the comm channel. "Who are you?" "Name's Borum," the woman said. Her voice was calm, professional. "I picked up your distress signature and the explosion. Thought you might need help." "How do I know you're not with whoever attacked that ship?" Borum shrugged. "You don't. But if I wanted you dead, I'd have just left you drifting until your life support failed." or I could have shot you already. Instead, I'm standing here asking nicely to come aboard and help fix your bird. Fair point. Jiwoo made another decision, the second one today that might get him killed. He opened the airlock. Boram entered and immediately looked around, her experienced eyes taking in the damage. You look like you went through hell, she said. Then she saw the open door to the medical bay and froze. Is that a Velthir child? You know what she is? Everyone in this sector knows what a Velthir looks like. That ship you pulled her from, that was the diplomatic vessel Valara's Grace. It was carrying peace envoys to the neutral station. Boram's expression darkened. It was supposed to be protected. Safe passage guaranteed by 3 governments. Someone didn't get the memo, Jiwoo said bitterly. Boram walked to the medical bay and looked at the sleeping girl. I've been tracking that ship for 2 days. Heard rumors about an assassination plot. Didn't make it in time to warn them. She turned to Jiwoo. What's your name? Jiwoo. Well, Jiwoo, you just became the most important person in this sector. That girl is the daughter of the lead envoys. And if she survived, that means someone failed their mission. Boram pointed to the crystal visible in the girl's hand. Is that what I think it is? Probably. She wouldn't let go of it. Data crystal. Velthir diplomatic grade. That thing probably contains every detail of the peace negotiations. Maybe more, maybe evidence. Boram looked at him seriously. You understand what this means, right? Whoever destroyed that ship will come looking for survivors. And now they're going to be looking for you. As if on cue, Taiman's voice crackled through the speakers. Jiwoo, I am detecting 3 new contacts. They just appeared from behind the asteroid cluster. Military configuration. Weapons hot. They are scanning the debris field. Boram cursed. Mercenaries. They're making sure there are no witnesses. She grabbed Jiwoo's arm. We need to hide your ship and power down everything. Now. They worked quickly. Boram used her ship's systems to extend a stealth shroud over Jiwoo's vessel, and they killed all non-essential systems. In the medical bay, the girl stirred but didn't wake. Through the cargo bay windows, Jiwoo watched the 3 ships move through the debris. They were sleek and dangerous looking, covered in weapons. One of them passed close enough that he could see the hull markings. Not military, private contractors, hired killers. They're scanning for life signs, Boram whispered. The debris is creating interference, but if they get close enough... One of the ships slowed near their position. Jiwoo held his breath. The scanner beam swept over the cargo bay once, twice, then it moved on. They didn't see us, Taiman reported quietly. But the relief was short-lived. Another ship appeared on the sensors, larger and older. The mercenary ships immediately changed course to intercept it. That's a Velthir search vessel, Boram said, studying her screens. They're looking for survivors, too. Jiwoo watched as the mercenaries surrounded the Velthir ship and opened fire. It wasn't even a fight. The search vessel was lightly armed, meant for rescue operations, not combat. Within seconds, it was crippled and drifting. We have to help them, Jiwoo said. With what? Your ship can barely move and mine is a cargo hauler. We'd last 5 seconds against those killers. Boram's jaw was tight. The best thing we can do is keep that girl alive and get her somewhere safe. Where? You said it yourself, they'll be looking for us. Boram was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled grimly. I know a place, but getting there is going to be tricky. Very tricky. In the medical bay, the girl opened her silver eyes and looked at Jiwoo through the window. Even from this distance, he could see the question in her expression. He gave her a small nod, trying to look confident. The mercenary ships finished their work and began moving back through the debris field, back toward their hiding spot, searching more carefully now. They know someone else is here, Taiman said. They are conducting a grid search pattern. Boram moved to her ship's controls. Hold on to something. When I say run, we run. Part 1. The dying star Jiwoo wiped the sweat from his forehead and stared at the salvage readings on his screen. Another day, another piece of space junk to catalog and haul back to the nearest station. His small ship hummed quietly around him, the familiar sound almost comforting after 3 years of working alone in the outer territories. Taemin, how much longer on this sector? He asked. The AI's voice came through the speakers, calm and measured. Approximately 40 minutes, Jiwoo. Then we can return home. Home. Jiwoo smiled at that. His cramped quarters on Station 7 weren't much, but they were his. He stretched in his pilot seat and reached for his coffee when the console beeped. A strange signal. He frowned and tapped the screen. What is that? He muttered. Unknown vessel, Taemin replied. The signal appears to be a distress beacon. Alien origin, Jiwoo sat up straight. Alien vessels weren't common out here, and distress beacons even less so. He pulled up the scanner data and felt his stomach tighten. The ship was venting atmosphere and its reactor signature was all wrong. Unstable. Dangerous. Taemin, give me details. The vessel is Veltir in design. Diplomatic class. Severe damage to primary systems. Reactor approaching critical failure. The AI paused. Estimated time until catastrophic detonation. 4 minutes, 12 seconds. 4 minutes. Jiwoo's hands moved over the controls before his brain caught up. He changed course toward the dying ship. Jiwoo, I must advise against this action, Taemin said. Protocol forbids interference with alien vessels without proper authorization. Additionally, the radiation levels are already at lethal thresholds for human exposure. I know the protocols, Jiwoo said, pushing his engines harder, but someone might still be alive. The probability of survivors is less than 8%. Then we check for that 8%. The alien ship grew larger on his view screen. It was elegant once, he could tell, with smooth curves and silver plating. Now it was a wreck. Holes punctured the hull, and small fires burned in the oxygen-starved compartments. Jiwoo felt a chill run through him. Whatever happened here was violent. Life signs? He asked. Taemin was silent for a moment. Scanning. The interference is significant. Wait. Yes. One life sign detected. Aft section near the emergency pod bays. The signal is weak. One person, one life. Jiwoo brought his ship closer. His hands steady despite the fear creeping up his spine. The reactor was going to blow and he was flying straight toward it. 3 minutes, 40 seconds, Taemin announced. Jiwoo studied the hull. The docking ports were all damaged or incompatible with his ship's systems. He would have to breach the hull manually. Cutting through. It would take time he didn't have. Taemin, prepare the cutting laser. Maximum power. Jiwoo, even if we breach the hull, you will need to enter the vessel, locate the survivor, and return to our ship. The timeline is insufficient. Just do it. Jiwoo positioned his ship next to a relatively intact section of hull near where the life sign had been detected. The cutting laser emerged from his ship's underbelly and began to burn through the alien metal. Sparks flew into space, bright against the darkness. 2 minutes, 50 seconds, the laser cut slowly. Too slowly. Jiwoo watched the progress bar crawl across his screen. His mouth was dry. Come on, breach complete, Taemin said. Jiwoo was already moving. He grabbed his suit helmet, sealed it, and ran to the airlock. The artificial gravity cut out as he crossed into the connecting tube he'd extended to the breach. His boots magnetized to the surface, pulling him forward. 2 minutes, 15 seconds. He squeezed through the jagged hole in the hull and entered the alien ship. Emergency lighting flickered red and the corridor tilted at an odd angle. Everything felt wrong. The air was toxic, visible as a yellowish haze even through his helmet. He checked his scanner and followed the arrow pointing toward the life sign. The corridor ahead was blocked. A support beam had fallen, crushing a doorway. Jiwoo grabbed it with his suit's enhanced strength and pulled. The metal groaned but didn't move. 1 minute, 45 seconds. Damn it! Jiwoo braced his feet and pulled harder. The beam shifted slightly. Again and again. His muscles screamed and his suit's servos whined in protest. Finally, the beam moved enough for him to squeeze through. On the other side, he saw her. An alien girl, young, lying unconscious on the floor. Her skin was pale blue and her hair was white like fresh snow. She wore some kind of uniform, now torn and stained. In her hand, she clutched a small crystal that glowed faintly. 1 minute, 20 seconds, Jiwoo scooped her up. She was light, lighter than he expected. He turned and ran back the way he came, his boots pounding against the tilted floor. The ship shuddered around him. Small explosions echoed from deeper inside. 1 minute. He reached the breach and pushed through, pulling the girl with him. The corridor back to his ship seemed longer now. Endless. 40 seconds. The ship lurched. Jiwoo lost his footing and slammed into the wall. Pain shot through his shoulder, but he kept moving. He could see his airlock ahead. 20 seconds, almost there. Just a little more. Jiwoo's lungs burned even though he knew his suit was providing oxygen. Fear did that. Made everything hurt. 10 seconds, he wasn't going to make it. The airlock was still 10 meters away. 9, 8. The ship rumbled, a deep sound that vibrated through his bones. 7, 6. With the last of his strength, Jiwoo threw himself and the girl forward. They tumbled through space. His ship's automated systems activated, and a tractor beam caught them, yanking them toward safety. 3, 2. The airlock closed around them. 1. The universe turned white. The explosion hit them like a hammer, spinning Jiwoo's ship end over end. Alarms screamed. Lights flickered. The girl slipped from his arms and floated in the airlock, still unconscious. Jiwoo grabbed her and held on as his ship tumbled through space. Through the small window, he watched the debris from the alien vessel scatter like stars. When the spinning finally stopped, he was breathing hard, his heart pounding so loud he could hear it in his ears. "Taemin," he called out. "Taemin, status." Static answered him. Then finally, the AI's voice returned, crackling and weak. "Systems damaged. Navigation offline. Communications offline. Life support at 60%. We are adrift, Jiwoo." Jiwoo looked down at the girl in his arms. She was breathing. Barely, but breathing. That was enough. That had to be enough. "Worth it," he whispered. But as he carried her toward the medical bay, his damaged sensors picked up something new. Ships. Multiple contacts. Coming fast. Coming right toward them.